What's going on, nerds? My name is Jesse, and we are back on Nerds Rise for another episode of Underrated. Underrated is where I take a film that is either underseen, underrated, or overhated, give you a couple of reasons why I think the film is worthy of a watch, and why you should go watch it. Today's film is going to be In Time, came out in 2011, directed by Andrew Niccol. The main players in the film are Justin Timberlake, Amanda Seyfried, and Cillian Murphy, who I love. Big Cillian Murphy fan, loved him in The Dark Knight and all of the Batman movies. I don't know if he's in the third film, but that's neither here nor there. Let's get into why I think the film is good. Okay, number one, I'm a sucker for a really good premise. I'm also a sucker for Justin Timberlake. Don't tell my fiance. All right, let's keep it moving here. The premise in this film is incredible. I think it's one of the best things about the film. I think you can get through some of the slow parts of the film just because the actual premise and the explaining of what's going on is so interesting. And the premise in this film is that you have a clock, like a biological clock, right? And however much time is on this clock is how much time you have left in your life, and your currency is now time. Okay, hence the film In Time, okay? So basically the rich can live forever and the poor can live for however long they can make money, right? Basically, that's the idea. So the bodies are genetically modified to not age past 25, which leads to some really creepy things, like Justin Timberlake's mom is Olivia Wilde and they're the same age. There's some weird things in the film, but you just have to suspend your disbelief to get through them because it's part of the premise, and it's a great premise. I really enjoy it. I think the premise alone is worth watching the movie because it is really cool, really interesting, and there's lots of good exposition kind of letting you know how everything works. Okay, second pro. I think the actors and the acting in this film is really good, especially Cillian Murphy and even Justin Timberlake. I think he is fairly well in this film. And the way that they set them up to go against each other, because they're basically, to not spoil anything, Justin Timberlake thinks that Cillian Murphy is from a different part of town than he realizes when they're actually from the same. He came up from nowhere, from no time, to having a bunch of time to being a timekeeper. I think that's actually another cool thing is the timekeepers. They're basically the police of this universe. Is they keep time. They're watching time. When time goes somewhere it's not supposed to, they're on it, right? But the acting in this film is really good. Cillian Murphy kills it as always, no pun intended. He's an incredible actor, well deserved for the roles that he gets. So him and Justin Timberlake have some really good moments in here, and I think that really helps you get through this film because there can be some slow moments when it's just Justin Timberlake on screen, just Cillian Murphy on screen, and that's it. And you got to get through these scenes, and some of that stuff is pretty slow and it can drag on. But when you have great actors in those scenes, giving you the exposition you need to get through the film, it makes it worth watching. Okay, next pro. The premise of having time on your clock, and when the time runs out you die, leads to a couple of really intense, really fun scenes, and it has one scene at the beginning, one scene at the end. We'll keep it spoiler free here on Underrated as always, but there's two parallels at the beginning and the end of the film that are really exciting, really tense, when that time is ticking down and you're waiting to see if they're going to make it, because you can trade time by touching another person's wrist. So you have these great scenes of characters chasing to each other trying to make it because you're running out of time. So lots of cool, tense, intense scenes that involve time. And then there's one other really exciting time-related thing in the film, and that's fighting. So basically in this film, with the premise of having time and you can take somebody else's time by grabbing their wrists, you have fights, right? So basically you're fighting to see who can take the other's time. And what happens is Justin Timberlake gets in a really, really good fight with one of the other characters in the film, and it's a really exciting, tense scene. So the time on the wrist is a really exciting part of the film, and I think it's such a big deal that I need to talk about it on here. Okay, a couple of cons. Number one con I would say is actually, what's her name? Amanda Seyfried? Yeah, Amanda Seyfried. I really like her. I think she's a good actress, but in this film, some of her scenes can be a little clunky to me. Some of this, you can get a little cringeworthy in some scenes. I'm going to try to keep it spoiler free here for you so it doesn't ruin the film. But some of her scenes can drag on, especially when Justin Timberlake's not in frame. It can really just drag a little bit. I think she is a good actress. I just think there's a couple of spots where she dropped the ball. Okay, I still love you, Amanda. All right. Second con is the pacing. We've talked about it already. One of my pros is that the acting is so good that you can ignore the pacing. Well, the next logical con is that the pacing can be a little slow. And even though the actors do a great job of getting you through it, doesn't mean that the pacing is good, because there's a couple of scenes in the film that just drag on a little too long. Now, with that being said, what do I give the film out of 10? I'm going to give it an 8.5. I think that's like a good rating for this film. I think it's 100% underrated and 100% underseen. I don't think it gets too much hate online, maybe apart from CinemaSins. They're the only people who really tore this movie apart. Otherwise, it's a cool premise, great actors. It's worth a watch, 100%. That's going to wrap up my time here on Nerds Rise. If you like these underrated reviews, please let me know. I read all of the comments. Don't forget to follow all of us on Twitter, our Facebook page. We're still looking for admins if that's something you're interested in. And we're going to start doing an upload schedule, and we'll start kind of laying that out here in the next couple of days so you guys can get an idea of when everybody is posting, because now there's 5 of us on this channel. So I kind of want to have a nice schedule for all of us, and I think all of us kind of came up with good days for posting. So look forward to that. In the next couple of uploads, we'll start laying out that schedule. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed, and I will catch you guys on the flip side. Later.